Good morning. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a subject that is often described as sensitive. I'm going to talk about discrimination. Now, one definition describes it as the unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. And then we have to go right on into the another term, bias. Is prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. Okay, so now that I've gotten the formal definitions aside, I want to talk a little bit about self-checking and also acknowledging that there's areas of bias and prejudice that, that we, and I'll say me, have found myself guilty of. And oftentimes we'll automatically go to the black, white, or minority and majority comparison. But one of the things that I've also noted, being in education and in the medical field, has to do with gender bias, has to do with a certain age group, specific. Speaking of different ones, let's say teenagers, I've seen it to where I've been in the presence of those who may have been using different terms to describe different groups, and I found myself in conversations that I think are necessary. And sometimes I'm able to, have a conversation with different ones about it. And other times it's so sensitive, some people, would rather not. Well, I'm not going to talk very long on it, but I am going to speak from my perspective and how I feel this subject can possibly be discussed. And although sensitive, although may seem difficult, it is so necessary to discuss. So had some conversations, different points in my career in education with students, and where we've had some open dialogue actually about them being judged, whether it was being a minority, whether it was being a teenager and not heard, or just a male female type things where there's certain careers of interest that we've seen go to either the male person or the female. Well, the thing that I think in all of the conversations I've had that have come up to me is just the sensitivity of discussing it. I believe that there's lots of us who would rather not talk about it, right? I know that I was raised in such a way that that was a common thing that we just avoided. But in my years here, in in my life, I don't think it's something that should be avoided, at least not for me. I talk to my children about this, and I talk to my children about discrimination and bias on the basis of being in the best way possible to have a conversation about it. And for me, that means, sitting and listening first. I think that lots of times when we may have found ourselves the victim of, or actually being the person who's doing it, we may not want to talk about it, right? For an example, if I've been told that I favor male over female or something like that, I think for me, what I'd like to do is sit down and have the conversation, but first by me listening to what the feeling is. I think that avoiding certain topics because they're sensitive, in my opinion, is not the solution. I think it's more of a, you know, uh, is a dismissive type thing for me. I think that it's not something that should be dismissed. I think it's a conversation to be had. It is an opportunity to learn how another person feels, and then kind of go from where that feeling came from, things like that. The moment we begin to go straight into the judgment, or I'll say me, the moment I begin to find myself in a judgment situation, I think that's that moment that I need to stop. I need to stop for a moment and listen. Just hear another person's view and feelings on where the discrimination is around, and then what that feeling has brought up for them. I don't want to give the the negative approach on having this conversation, although it can be very negative. It can be where lives have lost. Unfortunately, we've had incidents where that has been the case, but I'm again want to stand on the side of positive, and just acknowledging that there is a real thing in discrimination. There's a real thing in bias, and it's not just a race or culture thing. Sometimes it is it can be a overweight thing, or it can be a certain skin complexion. It's so many different facets of this. And like I said, I don't believe it's something to be swept under the rug. It doesn't help. In fact, I think it has the opposite effect. It has a very adverse effect when it's denied. Denial is not making the thing go away. I think that if we can first acknowledge what is being said and listen with the intent to understand. I'm not saying that we may understand it, but saying that when our intent is to hear what is being said and what is being delivered from the person that is speaking to us, then I think that we have more opportunities to find some type of a middle ground and move on from there, as opposed to being told a certain thing, and someone expressing their feelings, and not, that's if somebody come and express their feelings to me, and I immediately kind of shut down, or I don't receive what is being said, or I'm looking for a response as opposed to just listening. I think that's one of the first steps that I will continue to work on, and anything that is different, anything that comes up that I have a feeling of I want to reject what's being said, that to me is an indicator that, okay, I need to stop, I need to pause, and just truly just focus on listening to what's being said, because it is a very serious thing. And until we get to a point that we're going to sit and listen to what is being said, then we're kind of stagnant. And stagnant for me is not a place I intend to stay. I think that moving forward is a part of one of my goals, and as being the change I wish to see. The moment I begin to declare that I am the change I wish to see, then to me that is an accountability check. It's an inside job for me. It is a automatic redirection of anything that's not moving in direction of forward. So talking about it is so essential to us growing as an individual and as a people together. So I encourage you and also myself to continue to listen, because I have learned that being heard, it is so important with communication. When I feel like the person I'm talking to truly is hearing what I'm saying with the intent to understand, it gives me the freedom, of safety, of feeling like that I can deliver whatever it is I'm trying to express in a way that can make a positive difference. So I encourage you to truly, focus on the listening part. If someone brings something to you and and is different, or it seems, you have that negative feeling about it initially, to just take a moment and truly try to listen to what's being said. And I think that could make a difference with us. I know for myself, I have been held accountable many times, and I say that, in respect to my children coming, and maybe they say, "Mom, well, you let my brother do this thing, and you didn't let me do it." So to me, it is, when that a feeling of like, oh my goodness, I got to go and defend myself because of what I've been accused of. When that comes up, what I have learned over the years is to just pause for a minute and hear them out, because it's given me an opportunity to reevaluate how I may have thought about a certain thing, and to check myself. And it gives me the opportunity to say, well, you know what, I hadn't thought about it like that. I'm gonna consciously think about it and consider what you said, and then action to do a different thing. And I believe that it is such a vital part of us living and growing. Um, and in my movement towards, truly embracing love, I know that it's necessary for me. And I truly urge you to consider the same, so that we move in a direction of forward, because that is a part of the light that we all have. It is a part of the power that we already possess. So just just make listening be a true intent when it comes to someone talking to us, whether it be a close friend or family member, or someone that we're not as close with. Let us look at different things being said to us as an opportunity for growth, as opposed to a place to immediately go into defense, because all of those, actions are extremely necessary. But I believe when we're trying to have a conversation, when it comes to prejudice or bias or discrimination, it is so essential for us to listen. So thanks for listening, and remember to shine your life now.